everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's video we have our December wrap up. I know it's extremely late. I don't even know why I'm filming it this late. I couldn't tell you why. I absolutely have no excuse. I don't know what I was thinking. Time just got ahead of me, and so here we are, January 4th of 2021. And we are doing my December wrap up. And with that being said, Happy New Year's, everyone. We made it. So for this month I ended up reading 8 books, and I did not necessarily stick to my TBR, which is okay because I'm very much a mood reader. And so even if the book is in my TBR video and I'm just not in the mood for it, I'm not going to read it. But anyways, you guys, so like always, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Also go ahead and turn on notifications so you guys can be updated every single time I upload. And that's about it. Follow me on Instagram, I'll have it right here. And let's get right into the video. So today we're going to go ahead and go in order of how I read the books. So the first book that I read was The Guest List by Lucy Foley. I ended up giving this book a 3.75, almost a 4. I originally gave it a 4, but after some thought and thinking, I ended up giving it a 3.75. I think I gave it that. I will talk more about it later after I talk about another book. But overall, it was a pretty good book. So we're following a couple who get married in this remote island, and they invite all of their close relatives and friends. And as we're reading the book, we know that someone has been killed, and so throughout the whole book you're trying to figure out which one of these guests had the motive and who would have done it. The suspects are the bride, the +1, the best man, the wedding planner, and the bridesmaid. And every single person is sort of connected to the victim in their own sort of story. And you get to see every single perspective and try to figure out who murdered the victim. And overall, it was a really interesting read. I liked being able to see from everybody's perspective and figure it out. I will say I did not figure out who did it, which was great because usually I guess it pretty quickly, and with this book I was completely off on my suspicion, yeah. But at the same time, it wasn't a book that I was just eager to grab. I didn't really connect with anyone. The person, I knew who was the person dead. I think we all know. I'm not gonna say it in case nobody has read it. And I didn't feel, sorry you guys, I can't talk. I didn't feel especially connected to the person who had died, so I was kind of like, yeah. And the ending, for me at least, was also pretty meh. So 3.75, but it was pretty interesting. So the next book I read was One Day in December, and you guys know how excited I've been to reading this book. This is by Josie Silver, who is also the writer or the author for The 2 Lives of Lydia Bird, which is one of my all-time favorite books. I ended up giving this book a 4.5, and I read this as a buddy read with my best friend. I believe she gave this a 5. We are following, I think her name is Josie. No, it's Lori. Sorry, you guys. I'm getting my characters confused. We're following Lori, who one day she sees this guy at a bus stop. She's in the bus and she sees a guy at the bus stop just sitting there, and they sort of meet eyes, like a connection happens, but they don't actually meet. But she kind of feels like this is a special connection, her one true love maybe. And she goes on a whole entire year of looking for this guy. And one day her best friend introduces her to her future or fiance, no, to her boyfriend. And she realizes, Lori, that the guy her friend is dating is the guy that she's been looking for over a year. And so you're sort of following their story for 10 whole years. And it's really interesting. I loved it, every chapter of it. I don't think anything was boring. their whole life was really interesting, seeing them how they grew, you know, from like the person you met at the beginning of the story till the person they were then. And it's just really interesting seeing everything, like I said, they go through. And you follow both perspectives. You know, you follow him, how he thinks of her, and all that. It's really interesting. I did ended up giving it a 4.5 instead of a 5, because I would have loved way more interaction between them, or more scenes with them together, and we didn't get much of that. We got some, but not the full extent of it. So I think it was more of, it's obviously a romance, but it's also more of like finding yourself, and I don't know, I can't explain it. It is really good. I did very much enjoyed it. Like I said, the only thing that was lacking, it's a little bit more interaction between them, maybe more romance, but it was a really good solid read. So yeah. So then, you guys, I ended up reading One by One by Ruth Ware, and I've been wanting to read this for a while, since Books by Lala's book club read it, but I was just really behind, and I ended up saving it for December, because it does take place in a cozy cabin while it's snowing, and it's just a really good mystery. So this book, we are following a bunch of coworkers that go on this remote trip to a cabin, and they all own, some of them are employees and others have what are they called when you have stock? I think stock market, is that what it's called? I'm not sure. In this company, and it's like a social media company. And so one by one people start dying, and you kind of, it's figuring out who did it. You're also following two perspectives, and overall the story was really, really good. I really, really enjoyed seeing how they worked, like the business side of things. I really enjoyed that. I thought it was great. I ended up giving it a 4, and the reason I gave it a 4 and not a higher grading was because I figured out what was going on. I want to say by like the 3rd or 4th chapter, I knew who did it. I kind of knew exactly what was going on, which pat myself on the back, because I knew, and I was sort of like, how is nobody seeing what I'm seeing? Like, I should be in this cabin pointing my finger at this person, because I would have called them out. And that's the only reason I'm giving it a 4 instead of a 4.5 or a 5. It's just that I figured out who it was too early on, so it kind of ruined it a little bit for me. But overall, I did really like the story, really enjoyed it, and it is the reason that I ended up giving the guest list a 3.75. This was actually a 4, but then I read this one and realized the story was way better. I didn't even care I knew who the killer was. I was just really wanted to know what was going to happen with the company, and with this one I didn't really care what was going to happen with the party. I didn't care, and so that's why that went down to a 3.75. And so yeah, One by One, Ruth Ware, I think it was a win. A 4 is a pretty good rating. Yeah, solid read. All right, next up we have All This Time by, I don't know the last names of these people, so I'm so sorry if I'm butchering it, but it is Mickey Daughtry and Rachel Lincott, and these are the same authors, or the same duo, for 5 Feet Apart, which I've never read that book before. I do want to own it. I'm not going to read it because I know it's really sad, but I do want to own it because I love the cover, and I would love to have them both. But this book is basically about, let me figure out, I don't know their names. Kyle. So it's about Kyle, and he pretty much has a really good life. He's in high school. He has a great girlfriend named Kimberly, and the day of their prom, when he's gonna give her a really special gift, she ends up breaking up with him. And that same night, they both get into a fatal car accident where the girlfriend does not survive, unfortunately. And so we kind of go through the grieving process with Kyle, and as he is trying to move on with his life, and he meets a wonderful girl named, I think it's Marley. He meets this girl named Marley, who has also gone through loss. I think she had a twin sister, and she's also going through the grieving process, and so they kind of understand each other, and then a relationship ensues, and then lots of other things that I can't really say without spoiling the whole book. Overall, I did really much enjoy it. I thought it was such a cute read. I ended up giving it a 3.75. I want to give it a 4. Do I really want to give it a 4? Oh, I don't know. I'm between a 3.75 and a 4, and I don't know what to give it. I think it's a cute story. The ending was really rushed, I felt, but overall I did really like it. I really enjoyed Kyle. He was a great character. I loved Marley. Marley was such a cute character as well, and I actually love how beautiful the dedication is for this book. I love it. It says, for anyone who's ever had a Marley, never let her go. I think that is so beautiful. That is such a beautiful dedication. And so, you know what? I'm gonna go with a 4. I give it a 4. I did really much enjoy it, and I think everybody should read it. You would think it's sad. I didn't find it that sad, so just go and read it. It's a good one. It's a nice, sweet story about love. So next up, we have Sadie by Courtney Summers, and this is actually the first Courtney Summers I've ever read. I already own Cracked Up to Be, which I'm actually shouldn't have said that because I'm gonna haul it pretty soon. But anyways, so I was really excited about this book. I know it has such good ratings, especially here on YouTube. Everybody loves it, and so I had it. Whew, I was excited. I knew this was gonna be a 5 out of 5, and it was amazing. It was great. And then I read it. And I feel so bad. But I ended up giving Sadie a 3.5. Tears rolling down. I don't know. I feel like maybe I should reread it. I think maybe potentially I was not in the mindset for it. And I was kind of like whatever about it. It does have a very powerful message. So that is really good. So we're basically following two perspectives. So we are... the background of this story is that a girl was killed. I believe a 13-year-old girl was killed, and her older sister, being Sadie, is going out to get revenge on the killer of her little sister. And at the same time, we are following West, who is a like a reporter or has a podcast, and he's been asked to try to find Sadie. And so we are seeing the perspective of both of them. So we are going through all of the motions with Sadie and every step she takes in order to get her revenge and find this horrible evil man. And at the same time, we are following West, who is following up with clues to finding Sadie. My issue with this book, well, no, this is not an issue. The one thing I did like about this book is this is a very hard topic that it talks about. It talks about abuse, child abuse, and that's a very difficult topic to read about. Sort of like with My Dark Vanessa, that was a really difficult book to read. What I did like about this is that they showed you glimpses, and then it was sort of do with that information what you can. So it doesn't specifically tell you, well, this and this happened in very specific scenes, which I was very happy with, because My Dark Vanessa went very specific and was very it was just too much at times. And this one, it doesn't give you too much information where you're uncomfortable, but you can figure out what probably was happening, which was child abuse and rape and those type of things. What I didn't like about this book is I didn't really connect with Sadie. I didn't really like her character. I was all for what she was trying to do, but overall she wasn't a character that totally grabbed me. The story with West, or his investigation, to me was totally whatever, because I already knew everything she was doing because she was basically telling me. So reading West's part was sort of just reading everything all over again, because I had already gone through those motions. Am I making sense? I'm hoping I'm making sense. And the ending was whack. That's all I'm gonna say. 3.5, but it is a really powerful story, and it is very sad, but I just think it could have been so much better. It had a lot of potential, but I still gave it a 3.5, right? Yeah, so it's not that, I mean, it wasn't that horrible, but it's not one of those books that I'm like, oh my god, I'm always gonna think about. No, so yeah, that's Sadie for you guys. I hope I made sense. I just, maybe I should reread it. Tell me down below what I should do. Sorry you guys if the angle changed. I ran out of battery, so I had to switch it up. Alright, so next up we read In the Holidays by Christina Lauren, and this was a book that I wasn't actually even gonna pick up. I just kind of did it spontaneously. I was like, add it to my cart. I even showed a picture on my TBR and I said maybe I'll read it, we'll see. I don't know. Wow, am I happy I read it or I picked it up. So okay, I gave this book a 5 out of 5 and I feel bad about that. Okay, I do. At first I was like, oh my god, this is a 5 out of 5, and then I thought about it and I was like, okay, well, how are you going to give this a 5 out of 5 and then give Sadie or All This Time a lower rating when it has like a bigger message, right? So then I was like, okay, I'll just give it a 4. But then I was like, no, I can't give it a 4 because I truly loved it. I enjoyed it. Every single page was so like a romantic and fluffy and exactly what I needed. I read this Christmas Eve, the day before Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, and I was so happy. It made me so happy. It's one of those books that I think back on it and I'm like, wow, I was so happy when I read that book. So let me calm down. So we are following Maylie Jones, and I think she's like a 26-year-old, and every single Christmas she spends it at a cabin with her parents, her divorced parents, her brother, Miles, and her parents' best friends. And one of the pairs, the couples of parents, have 2 children. One of them is Andrew, and the other one is, I don't know what the other one is. It's with a T. Starts with a T. What is it? It's Andrew. I don't know what it is. It's not Miles. Theo. So Andrew and Theo. And she is the same age as Theo, so she's always sort of had a really good relationship with him. Every time they go to the cabin, they're like best friends, and everything's cool, everything's great. But she secretly has a crush on Theo's older brother, Andrew. And I'm not going to say much about this book. You guys just need to go and read it. It does sort of have those typical Groundhog Day scenarios where she kind of keeps repeating the same day over and over until she gets it right. But I loved it. I loved it. And this is one of those books that I can't wait for there to be a Netflix adaptation or some sort of adaptation, because it was so cute, and Andrew was just, I'm sorry you guys, 5 out of 5. I loved it. What can I do if I loved it? This is exactly what I needed. Made me happy. You need to go read it if you want happiness in your life. This is that. So yeah, I loved it. And after being really great and romantic and all that, I needed some thriller and mystery in my life, because that's what I'm all about. So I ended up picking up Karen M. McManus, The Cousins. This is the same author of One of Us Is Lying, which I have not read. And I had just recently picked it up. Actually, I'm gonna be hauling it on tomorrow's video. But this is basically about 3 cousins who have never really spent a lot of time together, and they've never really bonded. Their grandma is a very rich person. She has a huge estate. But their parents have been disinherited because of something they did years and years ago, before they were even born. And one day, mysteriously, the grandma sends a letter asking for her 3 grandchildren to go to the island. She owns an island, to help her work there. Yeah, give them like jobs there and get to like know them better and stuff. And so obviously the parents ship them right out because they want to see if they can get into the inheritance again and be accepted. And so the 3 of them go, and it's sort of a mystery of them trying to find out why grandma disinherited and shut down her kids for their parents. And it's pretty good. I really enjoyed it. I loved their relationship. There's a little bit of romance in there, which was really nice. I really liked it. Overall, I thought it was an amazing book. Initially, I gave it a 5 out of 5, but then after further pondering, I gave it a 4.5. Overall, I loved it. I love a good YA thriller, and the best thing about this, and with her writing, I feel, is that I really connected with the characters. I loved all of them. I was like, oh, it was great. And I followed everyone's perspective, all of their 3 cousins, which was, I think one of them was Aubrey, the other one was Mildred, I think, yes, and Jonah. And those were the cousins, and it was great trying to figure out why this grandma was doing what she did. So definitely recommend it. 4.5. 5 out of 5 when I initially read it, so had lots of fun. And because I had so much fun with the cousins, I had to pick up another book by her, 2 Can't Keep a Secret. And I ended up getting this one instead of, I have One of Us' Line, but I don't have the sequel to One of Us' Line, so I was like, okay, I'll just go with this. So anyway, disregard everything I just said. And again, I really liked it. So we're following 2 fraternal twins. One of her name's Ellery and the other is Ezra, and they are moving to their mom's childhood town, and they're trying to figure out, so their mom had a twin sister. Her name was Sarah. Their mom's name is Sadie, and Sarah mysteriously disappeared when they were younger, and so their mom Sadie left the town, had children of her own, always tried to stay away from the town, and now they have to come back and go to high school there and figure everything out, and mysterious things start happening and people start missing again. And basically it focuses more on what's her name, Ellery, and Ellery is trying to figure out why people are missing, what happened to her aunt Sarah, and what is the town hiding. And again, it was really interesting. 4.5. I loved it. I loved YA mysteries. They're just, I love the drama and the relationships. I think that's why sometimes I don't enjoy adult thrillers as much, is because we have no romance, we have no drama. And with YA, you get so much drama and it's so immature, but it's so fun. It's just like, it's exactly what I needed. And also, I will say, this book in specific really reminded me of Pretty Little Liars, and I was a huge fan of Pretty Little Liars, so I had to have loved it, right? So yeah, I had a lot of fun and it was really good. So that is it for today's video. I think this was a pretty long video. I'm so sorry. Overall, I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you guys. I don't know if the next book, I don't know if the next video will be a haul or will it be my January TBR. We shall see. But thank you guys so much for being here, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.